Hello everyone. I'm just cutting some of this cut and come again lettuce for tea tonight, and these leaves straight into a bucket of water, and they'll arrive home in really good condition because they won't be sort of all limp. So I mean, it's going to be half an hour or so before I get up home, so just doing this just keeps them crisp and in good condition. Then I can wash them and, you know, spin them in a salad spinner, and that's good salad there for tea tonight. Yum. So we've got that, and we've got lettuces out in the ground as well, but I've got a few other things to show you here. If I just pull a few trays up and show you what I've got here. This one is perpetual spinach. This needs potting on and eventually planted out. This is my next batch of lettuce to be planted out, and these will eventually replace the ones I've got in the ground now, which are ready to be harvested, to start harvesting. These are some I sowed last month. These need potting on, and these will replace these. And I've also got, I think this one is cultivated rocket, so nice bit of fire in there. And I'm also, you've got to keep your lettuce coming, and I've got a tray here. Normally early in the year I'll sow in smaller trays to save space because there are so many seeds going. This time of the year I'm not sowing as many seeds, so I'll sow directly into these 40 tray modules. These are for container wise. They've got the big holes at the bottom, which just means that you can poke your finger up and lift your plant out nice and easy when you're planting, and the trays are rigid so you can hold on to them. So I've got about 10 different varieties here. Probably won't sow all of them, but I'll sow them direct into the cell, couple of seeds in each cell, and then later on I'll just delete the ones that I don't want, and that'll give me a good selection of lettuce to go after and keep replacing and keep this cycle going. And again, in 3 to 4 weeks time I'll sow another tray, and that just keeps us in nice leafy greens well into the autumn, keeps it all going. Okay, I'm sowing some beetroot now. Yes, into modules. I know earlier in the season said I wasn't going to do that this year. I wanted to sow direct, and I have done that. But one of the reasons is I felt that the smaller cell trays that I was using at the time, I didn't think were big enough. They didn't suit me for when I was ready to get the plants out. These are bigger cells. These are, again, they're container wise trays, and they're a 28 cell tray as opposed to a 40. So I'm going to have a go in these, and I'm going to use these for hole fillers, or to put a couple of rows wherever I've got a space developing. But that's the main reason why I didn't want to sow modules this year. But you know, you never count something out. I'm happy I've got the ones outside, which are growing fairly well, considering, because it's been an awful season here. The temperatures, I mean, they've got baking sunshine today. And I'm going to tell you that it's been terrible. I mean, yesterday I think it was 14 degrees. We've not had the best of years weather-wise here. Everything's been against us. So I've got those Bolzardi beetroot, and then I've got a nice golden beetroot here. This one is Burpee's golden, and I'm going to sow that exactly the same. You've seen me do it quite a few times now, so I won't bother showing you that one. We'll just get on and do that off camera. Also got some Ishikura bunching onions down there I'm going to sow into these trays, and some rainbow chard. They'll all go into trays, module trays, and then I'll put them. I've actually taken all my hanging shelves down. I'm going to have to put one up, maybe in the small tunnel, just to keep these safe and away from the rodents. But we'll get that done. We'll get all these seeds sown and get them all stored away nicely. Now next I'm sowing a Dwarf French a Dwarf French bean called Sprite. Now this is a new variety to me, and I'll be using these pretty much as hole fillers. So anywhere where there's a space, again, like the beetroot, I'll just be popping these in, because they'll only grow up, some of them actually grow up to about 18 inches. They call them dwarf, but they're not really. And you'll only get beans on one level, but you'll get a cracking harvest, especially if you're planting a lot of plants. Now, as things come out in the polytunnel or in the beds, wherever I've got space, just to keep things moving, I keep planting, keep chucking planting for as long as I possibly can. And you know, if you've got too many to eat, you can either give them away, which is something I like to do, or just blanch them 30 seconds in hot water, blanch, and then just freeze them. You've got them for through the winter. So again, very quickly, you've got a ton of crops, just for the sake of putting a bit of compost into some module trays like these. And these I normally use root trainers for beans and peas and sweet corn, but I don't know why really, but I didn't pick them up this morning from the other tunnel before I came in here, so I'm using these. These are bigger module trays, and hopefully they'll go out soon enough that the growth won't be affected by not having that extra depth. But I think they should be alright, because they're a good size module. These are the 28 cells again from Container Wise. Hopefully these will grow sort of rapid, and then they'll go out in the ground very quickly. That's the hope anyway. And it's nothing more difficult than that. So I'm in 28 cells. You're looking at 75 plants there. That's a lot of beans. So well worth doing, just for the sake of a few handfuls or a few trayfuls of compost and a packet of 99p seeds from Premier Seeds Direct. You know, and you'll have masses of beans. I mean, these will probably feed us all the way through the winter. And they're great. You know, I chop them up and put them in salads, even after defrosting them, or particularly nice in like a pilau rice. They even go well with, really well with, you'd be surprised to know, with things like cheese sauce. You know, if you're making like a potato gratin with cheese sauce and ham in or something, to throw some of these in, it makes a lovely additive. Or otherwise just quick reheat them, rechauffeur them, as they say in the trade. Toss them in butter, some toasted sesame seeds or almonds on them, job's good. Okay, I've got two more to sow here. I'll do this one first, the endive. These are both chicories. Now this first one is Chicory de Bruxelles, so it's a Belgian chicory. Now here's where the confusion sets in, for me at least anyway. We used to call this endive, and when I say we, when I was back in the catering trade as a chef, we called it a French endive. And it's about this big when it's grown. It's really quite pale, it's almost white, and it's the edges are sort of ruffled and green, and the leaves are pointed like this. It's a great thing for a presentation on a plate. You know, you could serve scallops in it or prawns or something like that, and it would look really nice. And of course, if you're eating, you eat with your eyes, so if the plate of food looks good, you're 50% there. So as a presentation thing, we used to use this, and we used to call it French endive. It's actually a Belgian chicory. So that's Chicory de Bruxelles, and I'm sowing those there. And this next one, again, confusion will set in here for you. It's actually Chicory Rosa di Treviso, and it is a chicory, but we used to call it radicchio. And we used it as a lettuce in salads. Quite bitter. Both of these are quite bitter, and you know, you might be put off by doing that. And here's the thing with food and profiles and things, and what you like and what you don't like. Let's take example for garlic. There are many people out there who don't like garlic. yet they eat so much food with garlic in, they just don't know it, but it's part of that flavour profile that makes up to something that you really appreciate and enjoy. And it's no different with these things. These are bitter. Things like rocket are quite peppery and hot, and people don't like that. But when you put all these things together into a salad or into a stir fry, or however you're using them, it makes the whole plate sing and come aloud. So even though you may not like and prefer something bitter, you must have it as part of your diet. Otherwise you're missing out and you're stopping yourself really appreciating the food. I mean, that's coming from my heart, and that's me going back to my chef roots and how I would try and convince people to try new things, because I want to go and cook them for you. That was the thing. That was what I always wanted to do. I wanted people to try these things that I knew were lovely, even though they didn't like the thought of what was in them. So do try that. And it's the same with the lettuce there that I've got to sow yet. I've got about 10 different types. I'll probably sow 7 or 8 of them. I think there's one in there I haven't grown before. Don't be limited by your choice. Don't continually grow all year round, or what's the other one, Tom Thumb. Try a few new varieties and then try mixing them with other salads and other salad stuffs and different dressings. You know, ring the changes, make every single salad different, and you'll love it. You'll love it. Every meal will be different, and that will improve your palate as well, which will make you appreciate food a whole lot better. So there's the chicory. They're done. Call them whatever you will. I'm also wanting to sow some peas, and I've got the last of a bag here of a pea called Meteor. It's the first early, so it should grow quite rapid, and whether we use it for pea pods later or eat it as pea shoots remains to be seen. We'll see how we get on with them and what we want at that particular time. But what it does do is it gives us options for the diet as to what we fancy on a particular day. So these will just get watered and they'll be hung up out of the way of rodents, because if mice get in here, they'll have a feed day in here. And the thing to do, if you can't keep them out of the way of mice, if you ever want to know if mice is getting in there, you'll see little tiny pinpricks of a hole where its nose has gone in to retrieve the seed. That's how you know that mice are getting at it, and then you can protect against it if you want to. Sometimes they won't eat many, sometimes they could decimate this whole tray. Depends how many of them are in the area. But that's another one sown. Now, last year, Iain at Grown Local, they're a microgreen company over in Edinburgh. Microgreens are one of the latest rages to be coming and hitting the gardening world. And basically, essentially what it is tiny plants that you cut off so you get all the vitamins and the goodness from them. And although I haven't seen a proper white paper yet, it's alleged that the vitamins and minerals that you get from microgreens can be up to 30 times more than its fully grown plant specimen would give you. So that's a good enough reason on its own to eat it. But anyway, Iain at Grown Local, as I say, he sent me these trays last year very kindly, and if I just lift them up, you maybe can hopefully see that they've got holes in the bottom and little channels. And what you have, where are they? Come here. Is a tray without holes in them, which these sit in. This is your reservoir. This is where your water sits, and you keep these level in the reservoir, and these grow very quick. Now, these trays, these are designed to go on racks under lights. Now, most of you know me. I don't really use lights. I've got a light, I've just never bothered to use it, never seen the need. The need is probably here with these, really, and it's telling me such, because I tried some earlier in the year. Most of them grew okay, but the peas, again, for me, didn't. They got mould again, and I think if they were under lights, they would be that much warmer, and I think they would get away better without moulding. But at this time of the year, when it is warmer, even though the temperatures are only 14, 15 degrees, I think they'll probably work again. So anyway, this year, Iain, again, very kindly, and thank you, Iain, sent me a few more seeds. And I've got some different things here. I've got radish and kohlrabi and some cabbage, I think it is. Yeah, the cabbage. And a big bag of peas, which I'm going to sow now. Now, you sow these really thickly. Iain, again, has recommended to me that I soak them. Sorry, Iain, my ears were blocked. I didn't hear you. It's funny that somebody tells you to do something or advises you to do something and you go and do your own thing anyway. But what I've found with peas for me is when I soak them, they just seem to go rotten so quickly. That's why I don't bother. I know people out there do it and they have a lot of luck with it. And I know Iain advises, as I say, to soak these. Maybe on the next batch, Iain. How terrible. But this is how you do that. You sow them really quite thickly. You're only after the small plants. You're obviously not going to grow plants to a massive size in here. And then you soak these, and then what you do with one of these reservoir trays, you pop that on top and press them down so that the seeds are in contact with the soil, and you water it and you leave that tray on until you see signs of germination, which you've only got to lift them up and you'll see little sprouts coming out of them and you'll know that they've germinated. Then you can take the tray away, keep them watered from the reservoir underneath, and you should be away off and running. So as I say, I've got that one, that's the peas, and I've got a few here which I'm also going to sow. I'm going to do a full tray of the radish, wherever that is. They are really nice, and all of these are good for either stir fries, salads, whatever you want. I have found with the cabbage, if it gets too big, it starts to become a little tough, a little more chewy. So to be aware, just be aware of that. But you can use them in stir fries happily, absolutely no problem whatsoever there. So use them in salads when they're young. And last year I also tried using some normal seed trays with some of these types of seeds, and I sourced my own seed last year. And the problem I found with that is that unless the compost is right up to the lip of a tray, a seed tray that's that deep, it's difficult to cut your microgreens off and you waste a lot. So be aware of that. If you're going to try it, make sure you put plenty of compost in your tray right to the brim, and you can have a trial doing these seeds if you want to, just by filling up a seed tray with compost and using up, if you've got a bulk bag of cabbage seed for instance, or radish, or pretty much anything really, just blast the seeds in at this thickness and see what you get. And if you like what you eat, and I don't see why you shouldn't, then you can go and kit yourself out. And I wonder actually, and I'll ask Iain if he's doing a kit for startup people, because I think that would be very, very handy. So there we go, that's microgreens, and I heartily recommend it because it's a good way to bulk out a salad or a stir fry, or even just to grow an extra ingredient, and that is fantastic to me. Now, since filming all of that yesterday, I went home and I spoke with Iain at Grown Local, simply because I wanted to know if he was still doing any kits. I know he used to, but he's had a lot of feedback from customers where they say they would rather not have a kit. They would rather just buy the trays that they want and the seeds that they want and go from there, which is fair enough. But anyway, while we were talking, there's a couple of new things come up with this company. I mean, Iain and Grown Local are a relatively new company, and they're finding their feet and moving on as companies do. One of the reasons why I'm keen to help him and literally plug him, which is pretty much what I've done. But anyway, they've moved the packaging on. You saw me earlier sowing the peas and stuff, and they were in plastic bags, foil lined bags that keep the seeds nice and fresh. Anyway, they've now moved on. All of their packaging is now fully recyclable and compostable under proper compost conditions. I think it's made of starch and cellulose and craft paper. And also on the label, it will tell you how many grams of seeds per size tray you need to sow, so you can get that part right as well. And there's also a little QR code, and if you scan it with your phone, so if you're down at your plots like I am, and you think how do I sow these, how do I do these, scan the QR code and it'll take you direct to a growing guide that they've also got on their site. Now they're wondrous innovations. And lo and behold, then he offered me a code. So the code is green side up, all one word, all lowercase, and that will get you 10% off seeds on the inside. So the link is in the description. The code is green side up, and I'll put it on the screen, and there we go. Thanks Iain for doing that. So I thought I'd come and sit out here amongst the flowers. I'm next to my favourite flower of all time, my sweet peas, and they're beautiful. And the heady scent I'm getting from these right now is incredible. I could say I've got some work to do, some things to tie in. But anyway, that's it for today. I will put the names of all the varieties of seeds that I've sown today in the description underneath, including the lettuce, which I haven't even sown yet. But as soon as I finish this piece here, I'll go and sow those. And then I'll get them all up on the hanging shelf or safely stowed away somewhere, and hopefully show you a picture of that as well. But as I say, that's it for today. Next time you go to a garden centre or wherever they sell seeds, or online, whatever, just buy a couple of extra packets of lettuce seed. Just ring the changes, try a few extra things, and try to add some other flavours in there. Some of the bitterness, like from the chicories, or some of the heat, like from the rockets. This will help, as I say, improve your palate and make every salad different. Even put a couple of pea shoots in there, you know, just gives it that extra kick of sweetness, and then a few herbs, you know, a little bit of chopped parsley or coriander. And you know, there's no reason every salad should be the same. You know, it's not just a couple of leaves and half a tomato. Make a salad a meal, make something special of it. Anyway, that's it for this one. Please look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.